Welcome to Finding Holiness, where we delve into timeless Torah wisdom, revealing the sacred in everyday moments. Join us on a journey to elevate your spirituality and discover holiness in every aspect of life. I'm your host, Rabbi David Kadosh, and together, let's embark on a path of spiritual exploration. I hope you enjoy this next episode. All right, continuing with the laws of Hachsharat Kelim, with regards to metal and earthenware. Haklal shelamadnu, shekederech shimusham shel hakelim kach hachsheratam, that the way you use the keli, the rule that we said, that the way you use the keli is the way that you kosher it, based on the pasuk that we said. Okay? This applies, Ne'emar b'Torah al kelei matechot, this applies to metal kelim. Aval et keli acheres, but earthenware, shayu zolim, which are very cheap, inexpensive, unfotzim bimekedem, and would, very not solid materials. Lo nitan le'achshir be'agala o belibun. It wasn't possible to kosher them by dipping them into boiling water or with fire. Mipnei she'acheres maleh nakbubiyot, because cheres is very porous, ubli'ato meruba, and it absorbs a lot. Ve'en bekoach hagala le'otzi mimenu kol ma shebala. It doesn't have the power to extract everything that it absorbed. Ukvi shene'emar, like the pasuk says, ukli cheres asher tebushal bo yishaber. In a kli cheres that was cooked treif or isur with, it has to be broken. V'im b'chli nechoshet bushala, more like v'shudam of mine. But if it was metal, we boil it. Kilomar, akli shemevashlim bo et basar hakorban bolea te'amav. The vessel that you cook within the food of the korban absorbs the taste. Vekevan shelachar sof zman achilat basar hakorban anotar mimenu asur b'achila. Since after the time that it was allotted to eat the meat of the korban, what is left over is called notar, becomes asur to eat. Gama ta'amim abeluim ba'keli nesarim. So too, the flavors of the food that is absorbed in the keli, that's also asur. Vehorata Torah, the Torah teaches us, she'im bishlo et besar hakorban b'kli nechoshet, that if you were to cook the food, the meat of the korban, in a metal cookware, yachshiru oto be'agala, you have to kosher it with hagala. But if you bake it or cook it, whatever, with a earthenware pot, no, it's not possible to be machshiret. You cannot extract it from the walls whatsoever. And you have to break it so that people are not mistaken to use it again. From here the Chachamim learn with regard to the rest of the prohibitions. That whenever you have a situation where the kli cheres, earthenware, will be bolea, the taste of the flavor of isur, you cannot asur le'achshiro. Omnam, kikaron nitan le'achshiro belibun. Really, you could actually kosher it with libun. Libun is a flame, a hot flame, or blowtorching. Shekena libun sorefet kli acheres imatam baluabo. Because the libun can actually burn the kli cheres and anything that's absorbed there. What's the problem? Since if you put earthenware directly onto a fire, what's going to happen to that vessel? Boom! It's going to explode, right? It'll burst because it can't withstand the heat. A person who's going to use that method to kosher it, he's not going to do it properly because he's going to afraid he's going to break the kli. He's worried about that it's going to burst. The rabbis prohibited being a machshir a kli cheres belibun. Ulam efshar leachshiro al yedei achnasato letoch kivshan ha'esh. It is possible to kosher it by putting it into a furnace, the way it's made. V'im yisrod et ha'esh hachoska shesham velo yitpaka haru kikli shenotzar mechadash. If for whatever reason it's able to strengthen itself by putting it in the furnace and not bursting, then you got yourself a new kli and you kosher it. You're not worried about that it's not going to whiten with heat properly. That's a very, very strong fire. All right, so that's the dinim of a earthenware vessel, clay, pottery, so on and so forth. Next is kli zechuchit, glass. Now glass is it's a very interesting material. Machloket hit'orera b'tkufat harishonim legabe klei zechuchit. The Rishonim argue as to the status of glass. Yesh omnim shehoid v'azechuchit chalaka v'kasha. Since some say that since glass is very smooth and yet very hard, afilu im hayu ba ma'achalim chamim, even if you had very hot foods there, ena bolat tamam, it does not absorb the taste whatsoever of isur in glass. ולכן, אם ישתמשו בכלי זכוכית במאכלים אסורים, if you use, or if a glass utensil was used with forbidden foods, די לנקותם היטב. You just clean them well, כדי להשתמש בהם למאכלים כשרים, in order to use them with kosher food. This is the opinion, most famously, of the Shulchan Aruch, but as well as the Rabbiya, Rosh, and Rashba. Mineged, opposite this, yesh omnim, there are those who say, shehoil v'zechuchit na'aset mechol, since glass is made from sand. I saw this firsthand when I went to a glass factory in Israel. Kemo kelicheres, just like kelicheres, gamim b'pol klei hazuchit enam bolim, even though in actuality the glass does not absorb, dinam kedin kelicheres. The law would be like an earthenware vessel, gam she'en lahem takana, which has no fix to it. If you put boiling hot tray foods in the glass, you cannot kosher it. You have to throw them out or give them to a goy. There are those people that hold middle ground. They hold that glass is like metal. You have to dip them in boiling water like you would do behagala. Kiklal, the general rule is, Yotzei Sefarad natul adat makilim. The Sfaradim hold like the lenient ones, like the mekilim. And you can have on your glass plate, you can eat there meat, hot milk, not at the same time, but hot meat and hot milk. As long as you clean well with, after each one. Mineged, opposite, Yotzei Ashkenaz, Natul Ledat HaMachmirim, the Ashkenazim are more Machmir here. Veyesh she'af horu lizrok kli zechuchit sheta'u, v'yishtamshu ba'em berotchim betaref, or pam basar upam chalav. And some of them are even strict to just throw out the utensil because they hold this like a keli cheres. It's like an earthenware vessel that cannot be fixed, and you have to throw it out if it was cooked with both. Ulam, when we look at it more deeply, it seems that he writes that most of the Jews seem to take the middle path. Because he says that the Sfaradim who were noheg to be lenient with regards to glass vessels is not the actual vessels that you use to cook. It's like a kli sheni, something where you would pour from the kli rishon where it was cooked onto a glass plate, for example. In that situation, you could be mekil. Because glass wasn't usually meant to cook on a fire, it would break. And even with regards to a second utensil, such as a plate, many of the Sfaradim would be machmir, and not use them both for meat and for milk. Mineged, Rov Poskei Ashkenaz shenotim lechumra. Opposite this, many of the poskim of Ashkenaz who would normally be machmir, maskimim shebediavad, they would agree that bediavad im bishlu b'klei zechuchit taref, if you happen to cook terefa or non-kosher with your glass utensil, efshar leachshiro be'agala kefi ada'em sa'it, you could dip it into the water like the middle ground. It seems that the minhag of most Jews around the world is to indeed make a separate dishes, if you have glass dishes, to make separate between meat and milk. And if you were to use a meat glass dish with hot dairy, you would actually kosher it with boiling water, just like you would do it with metal utensils. He says this is the proper way to teach the rest of the Jewish people, like we will explain later on with regards to metal utensils. Now, what's interesting here is that with regards to Pesach, okay, we find similar rules with regards to glass in terms of koshering or not. Now, there is a lot of different opinions here. I can tell you that Rav Ovadia and as well as Rav Shalom Esas were of the opinions that glass of the extreme mekil, the glass does not need to be koshered whatsoever. It could be used with meat and with milk, and just with a quick wipe down. And many of the Yotzei Morocco used to follow this psak of Rav Shalom Esas and Rav Ovadia, but there are other Tzafon Africa poskim, other North African poskim. Rabbi Chaim David Alevi, who I believe was Tunisian, would hold that indeed these are the more mahmir, that you would have to actually kosher. You cannot use the glass in terms of for both meat and milk. They write this a lot for Pesach, when indeed it comes into play, into practice. Certainly with regards to keli shanim, when regards to your plates, room to be more mekil. But when you start using glass, when it comes for bakeware, so you would have to think Pyrex of some sort. That's a glass that can take that. Okay, if possible, it's best to have separate sets for meat and milk, because it is a kli rishon. But again, there are many poskim that in the Sephardic side that hold like the mekilim, like I mentioned, Rosh Shalom Esas and Chacham Ovadia Yosef. B'ezrat Hashem, tomorrow we'll look at the status of metal nowadays as opposed to the metal in the olden days, and how it would change with regards to halacha.